In stark contrast to the recent news of Bungie and Nintendo treating work-life balance as a priority, Jason Schreier has dropped an article called "The Human Cost of Call of Duty," and it is as serious as it sounds.
Here's the real human cost is having to play that game, dude. Like, I called it Black Ops, whatever it was, the Black Ops 4, I don't remember what it was. Like, the new Call of Duty that had the BR mode, what a terrible game. Like, I'm sorry to say, guys, I've never liked Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2 was, I mean, like, everybody liked Modern Warfare 2, including me. But, hey, that was a long time ago.
Called "The Human Cost of Call of Duty," and it is as serious as it sounds. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another report.
I know what they're doing. They were all cosplaying the zombie mode in Call of Duty. I can pretty much guarantee that's what it's going to be. That's why they're going to all work 15 hours a day.
Today we have a really grim one. It's no secret that the AAA industry is rife with mismanagement of both projects and of people. And today we have yet another example in Activision's handling of Call of Duty. So Jason Schreier posted his article, and sadly, none of it is surprising, although the depths of it is sometimes a little bit uncomfortable. So let's go through it. First of all, he provides some context for Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and how mismanaged it was. The game's new style of campaign was canned in early 2018. This was of no surprise, but a severe disappointment to staff, since Black Ops 3 actually went through the same process. They had an open world campaign planned, but development on that was rebooted halfway through production, and they ended up having to crunch for the rest of the development period to ship a pared back, more traditional version of the campaign. Then Black Ops 4 seems to have been a repeat of this. The game originally had big aspirations of a 2v2 campaign. You and your human or AI partner would pick a faction and play against a human or AI opponent of the opposite faction, with each faction trying to achieve their own objectives and hinder the other faction, sometimes directly in opposition. You'd be able to
The only story in a shooter game that I care about is Halo, so like all this I really don't give a shit about. Like, I mean, honestly, I thought the idea of not having a campaign in COD was great because nobody gave a shit about it to begin with, but I think there's actually a lot of casual players that did.
And switch sides throughout as well. This was built by the team after crunching hard to finish it before Christmas of 2017, but everyone in the studio supposedly handed it in and were excited by their progress, including the heads of the studio. However, it was canned shortly after the new year because of technical issues and apparently negative feedback from playtesters who said that the gameplay was too repetitive. After that, they decided to fully move towards a more traditional campaign full of set pieces. This resulted in a bunch of morale problems in the team because the devs were genuinely excited for the project. But sadly though, this reboot was only the beginning.
You know, actually, I think about that, like the morale problems, and like, let me think about this, right? Do you think that it ever hurts like the devs' morale whenever they get like their content cut? I mean, like whenever they cut Farallon, for example.
Fuck yeah, dude!
Like, I never even think about that. Dude,
you know what I think? I think morale at Blizzard is probably not great. I think it's probably pretty bad right now.
The firings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Except literally.
Because
yeah, I think it definitely. I'm sure it definitely hurts morale to have things cut.
Yeah, I never think about that, but like people that like invest a huge amount of fucking time into developing something and that just never makes it to live, I bet that'd be like a huge disappointment for somebody. I mean, for no other reason than like not to have like that in your resume. You know, like, oh, I did this in a game and people liked it or whatever if they ever go somewhere else. They're under a lot of pressure, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly the biggest problem Blizzard has is the fact that they're overmanaged. There's probably just like they run Blizzard like a government in a way, and it's like the players are the people, and you know, like Blizzard's like the government. I don't know. I feel like there's like a big disconnect, and I don't know like where they decided to like have that perspective, like a casino. No, it's just like the way they interact with players and stuff.
2018, Black Ops 4's November release date was pulled forward to October 12th in order to beat Red Dead Redemption 2 to the shelves. At this point, the team pretty much knew that they did not have enough time to make a campaign. so they had to cut it entirely. It's a lot of work down the drain, and they knew that just zombies in multiplayer would not satisfy fans, so they pretty much grasped at straws and started working on Blackout, only 9 months before the game would hit shelves.
There are
They
still
managed
zombies
to
in
reuse
multiplayer.
a lot of assets, but the team still believes it was a
I was
miracle
one of
of
them.
their own creation that the mode actually was able to come together as it did. And of course, you know, from my view, that all just too eerily echoes the BioWare magic that we've heard about from past stories. The real story of all this, though, is the cost. In order to meet this new date and ensure the Blackout was up to standard, the entire studio crunched through basically all of 2018. This apparently meant working 64 hours a week, with one dev saying they would work 12 hours a day Monday through Thursday, a regular 8-hour day on Friday, and then they just cap it off with an 8-hour workday on Saturday.
That's a lot. I mean, 12 hours a day, so it's 64 hours a week. Like, whenever I work, like, during tax season at the IRS, some people would do, like, 80 hours a week. And I like, it was insane. It's illegal. It should be illegal. Yeah, they did, like, crazy overtime. Like, you would go to work at, like, because you could call in at 7 a.m. And you would go to work at 7 a.m. and you wouldn't leave until, like, 10 p.m. And people would do that, like, every single day. And they'd go home and sleep or, like, sleep in their car.
Sometimes they do
80 hours a
12-hour
week is normal in
Fridays or
Japan.
even come
Yeah.
in Sundays. Another Treyarch developer described working like that to Jason, saying, "Panic attacks, burnout, and disassociation. You feel like your boundaries are being violated, you lose all passion for what you're doing, and forget why you're doing it in the first place. It's a nightmare." Now, sure, that might sound a little bit dramatic, but that seemingly is the story told across the AAA industry by many who are really forced by circumstance to work these really long hours to meet management's demands. Now, that's not to say that they were not financially compensated, with them getting time and a half past 8 hours and then double time past 12 hours. So because of that, it became lucrative for some employees, but it absolutely was at the cost of their well-being. Now, for some, probably at the lower end of the pay scale, they had to rely on this to pay the bills of LA, which is, of course, a notoriously expensive city.
Yeah, it's true.
In fact,
I forgot all about
just
that. They're in
the way that
California.
game studios continue to set up in LA, to me, it's mind-boggling. As engaging, sure, like engaging with the local industry, that is important, but the cost of living there must drive up the cost of game development so much.
That's
Take
insane.
CD Projekt Red as a counterpoint. They're based in Poland, where a single dollar will get you a hell of a lot further, meaning that
buy you a
developers
house.
can still have a higher quality of life living there while they keep the cost of game production down. It just is odd to me that LA seems to still be so competitive in spite of that high price. So we've heard how the Treyarch developers are generally treated, but when it gets to QA, well, QA are basically a second-class citizen. Jason opened his article by saying that the QA team were only allowed to attend a company-wide party for 20 minutes before they had to go back to work, and they were told that they...
Wait, what? What?
Basically a second-class citizen. Jason opened his article by saying that the QA team were only allowed to attend a company-wide party for 20 minutes before they had to go back to work, and they were told that they, quote, really shouldn't drink anything. One of the most extreme examples of how it's run.
Hey. QA testers are abused? Yo, no wonder those bugs get through. They don't give a fuck. I wouldn't either. That's suffering? Yeah, you can only go to the party for 20 minutes. God, dude, that's rough.
Is this. The QA department runs day and night shifts, and the air conditioning was turned off when the day shift ended, even though the night crew would be working with rows and rows of computers heating the office.
I want to make this. I'm laughing at the absolute, like, just terribleness of the situation. I don't think it's funny that these people are fucked, right? Like, this is terrible. But it's just, I mean, holy shit. It's literally a sweatshop. Literally a sweatshop.
California's summer temperatures, which still are very hot at night. It took them months of petitioning to get the AC left on at night, and even then they couldn't rely on it. They would joke internally about being in a sweatshop, and that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Past that, they have mandated break hours instead of the freedom that other departments have to take their lunch or dinner whenever they want to.
Yeah, we can do it whenever we want.
Sounds insane to me, but it supposedly is true. When there's catering,
oh my god,
crunch,
so it's like if it's 2 p.m. bitch, you better be hungry, because you're going to lunch. Like, it's like middle school or some shit, man.
The department are not allowed to touch the food bought for other departments for an hour, if at all. They're effectively waiting on the scraps from the real developer's table, which is just utterly dehumanizing. That's not it, though. They're also physically isolated. QA have their own floor where they're packed in like sardines. They have their own parking lot that is further away, and they're not even allowed to talk to developers.
This is like one of those things that, no, this is good. This is like one of those things that whenever it's like, if I want to make up and I make a lot of hyperbole, it's like, oh, these people, they can't even talk to the devs. They're not allowed to. It's like they have segregated parking. They can't even talk to the devs. This is adorable.
Developers said that they were explicitly told to go to QA leads and not to interact with QA team members.
Yep.
Apparently this got so bad that some QA and development staff had to keep friendships quiet so that management would not know they were communicating.
I feel like you could literally just replace QA with like slaves and you would have a better plot than 12 Years a Slave. Like, this is fucking awful. Like, this is straight up fucking awful. Like, this is the same shit that you read about from like fucking 1820. I mean, really, this is so bad. Holy shit, man. I thought they were QA. Yeah.
In general, QA testers were apparently the butt of every joke and would get a lot of blame passed down to them.
The similarities just keep going.
On issues with the game. They were essentially an isolated, untouchable lower class that were treated like a scapegoat. And as a result of this, the testers had a high level of churn, with turnover happening every few months,
I bet.
which did not help their significant issues with training and performance. They're blamed for not finding bugs when they barely have enough time, are severely overworked, and have just about no say on anything with the project.
Wow.
But it gets worse.
It gets,
QA are not
but wait,
the
there's
worst
more.
example of a class of people being below the rest.
Oh, this is
Why?
great.
Because, like in many large productions, Activision and Treyarch heavily rely on contractors to get a lot done,
here we go.
and to scale up their capabilities quickly
Here we
when
go.
necessary. Now, because these contractors are not proper Treyarch employees, despite sometimes working on the game full-time for years, they're not eligible for bonuses. As one contractor put it, when we see a bunch of new testers come in and the bonuses go out, it kind of feels bad for us. Now, contractors definitely are a separate category to full Treyarch employees, so they even have like a different employee badge, an orange one instead of a blue one, which, I mean, it does make sense, but also the psychological effects of wearing a symbol that denotes your lower rank in a system like this. I mean, it's different in, say, the military or something, but I think here it is a little bit different. It is a bit more just psychologically demeaning. Now, Jason gives an example of an all-hands meeting,
I would say so.
Right, that involved the entire studio having employee surveys about the quality of life working there. And of course, the contractors were excluded from that survey entirely, even though...
Well, that's a good way to do it, right? Because if you're going to get negative feedback, right? And it's like, if you know somebody's going to say like, well, this sucks, here's one way to not get negative feedback from that person. You just don't give them the survey. Boom, there it is. There it is. And it's like, in school where... like the 3 questions that you get are like mulligans, and it's like, you have like a 100-question quiz, and it's like the first 3 you get wrong don't count against you. Well, the first 3 are just basically contractors. Like, I went to a ghetto as fuck school, okay? So they had to think of every single different rationalization for them to give us extra points so the school didn't get shut down.
They effectively were full-time employees working in that building, just technically they were with another organization. So essentially, they're not listened to in any capacity, and there's just an unspoken and unaddressed culture of them being inferior, where they basically don't feel like they can talk to senior employees because they're just contractors. They're also a lot easier to get rid of and replace. Really just because of the nature of contract work. Now, usually there's a fair trade-off there for contract work, but it's a little different, I think, when contractors are relied on year in, year out for a long time without ever getting hired. Like we recently heard with NetherRealm Studios, contractors are constantly promised there's a full-time job at the end of the grueling crunch period, and
this is something that is a little bit kind of personal to me. My mom usually sits downstairs, so I'm not going to speak loudly about this. My mom, growing up, was a contractor. She was a contracted writer. almost every single year, we were under the poverty level, with them continuously promising her this or continuously promising her that or stringing her along with a job. That's why she was in a bunch of credit card debt, and it was a really bad time. So I know about this firsthand. This is actually what happened. She's a very good writer, and she has like 2 college degrees, and they'd fuck her around with that kind of stuff constantly. So like I do tend to believe this is true, right? I mean, like the other, like, I'll talk about that later, but like the thing with like not talking to devs and having a separate parking lot, etc., I could see where that might be bullshit. But I mean, I will believe it. Well, I won't necessarily believe it, but I will take their word for it. But I am skeptical. But like the contractor stuff, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Poor mama. Don't say poor mama, okay? She's down there right now spending my money on Amazon Prime stuff, all right? Like, don't even worry about it.
Whoa, Twitch Prime. What was that?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you want to keep it up, if you want to keep it up, you want to pay. I think I have a picture. Can I show you guys a picture of her, of like her latest haul? I think I took a picture of like all the stuff that she'd gotten.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
there it is. Nice.
Oh, thanks, boys. Let me show you guys this right here. Look at that. All boxes. All boxes right there. Can't see. Yeah, I know it's pretty small, but that's basically what it is. Yeah, thanks for the subs, guys. Can't see. Listen, I'll full screen it real quick, okay? Let me go ahead and just double check and make sure this is good. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Look real quick. Look at all that. That's just all in one chair, and that's from like maybe a week. Like, she orders so much stuff, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. Holy shit. Thank you, everybody. Wow. God damn.
Yeah,
thank you.
Quite a few.
Yeah, that was a lot. Wow. You could put made slaves in a sweatshop, cover every COD game card, and it would still sell the same, and companies would still merge with them to turn their games to shit. Well, yeah, that's because the audience doesn't care. Hello, streamer. Here's more store money. Blow it on energy drinks and give it to Blizzard and support microtransactions. Thank you very much for the $21. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Did you pay off the credit card debt? No, there's no reason to. She's old enough. They can't take the house. I'm not gonna. I don't have a credit card. I don't have any credit at all. If I can't pay for something with cash, I can't afford it. I usually spend very, very little money each month, and I'm very I live very modestly.
Secure a position, but the carrot is often dangled and never actually rewarded. They were not paid very much for what would be considered skilled labor, with experienced contractors getting $20 an hour, which isn't far above the California minimum wage of $12 an hour. Plus, you've got to remember how expensive that particular part of California is to live in. Now, that's even more insulting when Activision employees of the same role would be getting 30 to 40% higher pay. There's also no paid time off except for 6 holiday days a year. 6? That's mad, but only if...
Oh my god, that doesn't even count all the holidays. There's Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July, Easter. And those are only the mainstream holidays, right? And then you've got President's Day, Veterans Day, Taco Day. What do you mean? Yeah, you celebrate Easter. Labor Day. Well, for them, it is Labor Day because they have to go to work.
They fit arbitrary conditions, so they need to work 510
yeah, that's my favorite
hours in the 13 weeks leading up to a holiday without taking a day off in order to qualify for a holiday.
Wait a second, I wasn't paying attention. Now, let me listen to that again.
Time hours in the 13 weeks days a year. 6. That's mad, but only if they fit arbitrary conditions. So they need to work 510 non-overtime hours in the 13 weeks leading up to a holiday without taking a day off in order to qualify for a holiday. Now that means that a single sick day could cause the loss of significant holiday pay, and that is by design. That's how that pay or that holiday time system is made. Basically, there's 2 major issues outlined here. First, there's that the AAA games are often severely mismanaged. Now, it's fine to make mistakes, but the employees and the games are the
Every
ones
time.
that take the hit from this. And as for why, well, perhaps there's a lack of skilled developers who, you know, rise up to a management level, right? Maybe that just doesn't happen as much because of industry burnout. At any rate, there's clearly a problem. And sure, managing a game project is far from easy, but there's a difference between, like, games that are made out of passion and ambition and the games that are just, you know, there to be as profitable as possible while remaining at an acceptable quality. And it really seems like it's that
I really couldn't think of a game like that.
push and pull that's the big challenge here. It's clear that Activision know what they want from their financial targets, but Treyarch and their employees seem to be targeting each other. There just seems to be a lot of chaos. There needs to be a more defined point, I suppose, where these groups can meet at the middle, like Treyarch and Activision and the employees in Activision, I suppose. Until then, they're just going to continue having these clashing goals which cause issues for everybody. As Jason puts it in his article, lack of communication leads to big creative reboots, leads to excessive crunch. And it seems like that's it. There's the employees who are passionate.
That's true, actually. I never thought of that.
Say an interesting
That's a good point
for the game, but then that just goes against Activision's goals
Yeah.
of user testing, so it ends up getting scrapped. And then
Activision's goals of user
and then
testing.
The other issue, of course, is employees, especially
That's
contractors,
it's a good term.
being
I like it.
mistreated. They have to bear the brunt of managerial decisions, and there's a lot of cases where employees are taking hits to their personal lives in order to make up for the mistakes of management. And I'm genuinely shocked by some parts of this article. Contractors in QA are being treated to working conditions that remind me of some of the Amazon horror stories, which is really not good.
People had to wear
These
diapers
issues
in
being
Amazon.
exposed, of course,
They couldn't
by
use the
Jason's
bathroom.
Good work is fantastic, and he's done a lot of work in this area recently. And it's good that there are some developers who are stepping up to the plate and taking a good stance. Perhaps Bungie are maybe not the most profitable developer in the world. After all, Activision did let him go, but they make a pretty damn good game. And as we recently covered in an episode of The Roundup, they did, delay what many would consider to be an important game fix for the sake of not overburdening their employees. Now, after this article went live,
Wow.
Jason got hold of an internal Treyarch email. It was from the studio leads, and it pretty much said the usual, that they take the employee well-being seriously and that they want to improve work-life balance through better planning, production, and decision-making, as well as letting employees know that they can escalate issues to them when necessary. Now, statements like this are often made from the heart by the studio heads and whatever, and it's hard to fault them. Yes, Rome was not built in a day. You can't snap your finger and magically have all the problems be solved, so it is worth, starting the construction now than never at all. But in this case, the damage has been done, and this clearly has been an issue for a long time, so it's hard to take them that seriously.
I don't ever listen to any of that motherfucking bullshit where people apologize after the fact. I mean, the truth is that the entire industry is like that, and they're going to keep doing this until there's some sort of a regulating entity, whether this is a union, whether this is a government intervention, whether it's something like that, or some sort of massive calamity that happens. They will continue doing this until they have to stop.
And it should not take a Kotaku article for managers to look at the health of their own studio. It's not easy, but yes, it is worth the effort, and it's the right thing to do. So, all in all, it's not a good situation here, and it seems
someone has to
like
die.
Across the industry, it's not good, but could be getting better, as even now, consumers are actually a lot more aware of this as a problem. So, what do you think? Has this further soured what you think about Activision? Do you think this is an Activision problem, a Treyarch problem, or both? I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know down below. Thank you very much for watching this video, and with that, I'll see you next time.